Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited, genuine, real connection between the Jesuits and Islam. I've been a long time searching for it, but I have finally found it. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, coming to you live from an undisclosed location deep in the heart of American flyover country, from the heartland of America to your heart. At least that's the plan. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Just don't call me Fredo. Can I just say, Cuomo, what a little bitch. And I love what President Trump said. I saw it come up on YouTube, and President Trump says, well, Cuomo was, and somebody asked him about it. President Trump says, well, Cuomo was really out of control. Maybe he needed a red flag, because I'd sure hate to see Cuomo with a weapon there. And then in beautiful, well-timed fashion, he said, I guess his fists aren't weapons because he talked a lot, but he never tried to use them. Oh, that's pretty bad when the president calls you a bitch without even saying it. Great stuff, ladies and gentlemen. That's the kind of world we live in. It's a fun world. It's a happy world. And you can get mad at the dummies like CNN and MSNBC and all their talking heads. You can get mad and watch these people talking F this and F that, and I'll throw you down the stairs. I'll F your shit up. I'll mess you up. And that's okay because he works for CNN. Could you imagine if a conservative, do we have any conservative news people? Well, how about Sean Hannity? Oh, you mean the same Sean Hannity that said, oh, I think Cuomo was right. I think that he's allowed to defend himself. Sean Hannity, shame on you. What is wrong with you? His wife and his kids were there. Then if he was so concerned, why was Cuomo dropping F-bombs left and right and threatening to pile drive people and push them downstairs and kill them, asking somebody to punch him? Go ahead, swing on me. Come on, hit me. Come on, Hannity. What's wrong with you, Hannity? I'll just leave it at that. Somebody got on me the other day for saying something, for questioning Sean Hannity's, whether he's part of the talking heads. And I think I rest my friggin' case. You know what I mean? Sean Hannity defending Fredo's friend, Sean Hannity. And I would love to debate you anytime live on air, Mr. Hannity, about the fear and guilt control matrix that is the Judeo-Christian control of the United States of America. You do a great job talking all around it, but you won't identify the real problem, and that is the fear and guilt control matrix of Judeo-Christian Abrahamic religion that enslaves this country. Sean Hannity won't talk about it, but Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower, will. Boom. Street King, my man, love you, brother. Thank you so much. Thanks for being out there on the front lines, protecting the lives of innocent people, putting your life on the line. We appreciate you. And I know that there's some law enforcement out there that's got some issues, but I also know that the vast majority of our law enforcement are good people that are trying to make a difference. So thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Let's talk about the Jesuits and the Muslims. Let's talk about it. And it is an excellent point about Hannity. Thank you, Mod Wiz. Let me pat myself on the back because no one else will. But that was an excellent point about Hannity. I would love to take on Sean Hannity in a respectful debate. I'd have Sean Hannity saying, don't call me Fredo. I'm just saying. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been searching high. I've been searching low. I've been looking hither, dale, yonder, over the river, through the woods, on the way to grandma's house, on the way back, for proof that the Jesuits were involved in the invention of at least modern Islam, looking for proof and have not been able to find it until now. And it's a little combination. It was a lot of research and a lot of study and a lot of reading, plus some Elizabeth April style download. And if you didn't see the show last night with Elizabeth April, you need to put that on your schedule to watch that. Very powerful show. She's young, and a lot of people, oh, well, she's so young. What could she know? ladies and gentlemen, we got to start listening to young people. We got to start listening to the ladies. We got to start listening to the women. We got to start listening to the girls. We got to start listening to the boys. I mean, let's look at our genre. The genre of people, I call it, that have realized the matrix, discovered the matrix. You look at, and I'll say Contact in the Desert, even though I love them and I would love to be invited to speak. Look at their last roster. Old white dudes. That's all there was. There was one black dude and a couple chicks, but come on. Are there no young women that have something to say about the fear and guilt control matrix? I think they are, and it's time to start identifying them. It's time to start promoting them, and it's time to start allowing them to have their say. Because, hey, look, bro, nobody wants a sausage party 24/7, 365, if you know what I mean. So the real Jesuit Islam connection. And the first thing you got to do, I feel fired up. The first thing you got to do, that's why I got the mala on, little zen. Whew, inside voice, take it easy. Can you imagine what I'd be like without some zen? Whoa, I'd be Sam Tripoli. That brother's on fire. But anyway, the first thing you have to do is forget everything you think you know about the Jesuit Muslim connection. Forget everything you think you know about the Jesuit Islam connection. Forget it. Because most of it is bullshit. 100%, 99.9%, because most of you haven't heard about it, the Jesuit Muslim connection, the Jesuit Islam connection. And just so you know, I'm reading from my own notes. If you see me read, these are my own notes. And we got a lot of things to go through here straight from the horse's mouth, the horse being the Jesuits. If you've heard anything about this, the Jesuit Islam connection, I can 99% guarantee that what you've heard is pure bullshit. Because 99% of it is BS, because 100% of most of you who have heard about it hear it through the name Francisco Rivera, Alberto Rivera, my bad. And if you're studying anything, and you read the name Alberto Rivera, stop reading. Go do something productive like trim your toenails. If you're watching a video and you hear the name Alberto Rivera used as a source and as an authority, stop watching it and watch something important like Bugs Bunny. You'll learn much, much more from Bugs Bunny. Alberto Rivera is a straw man. Alberto Rivera is a shill. Alberto Rivera is a fake. Alberto Rivera is a fraud. Don't ever send me another email about Alberto Rivera. I've got hundreds of them, and every one of them goes to the same place, delete. You've been fooled. You've been lied to. You've been cheated on. It's a country song, folks, and you're in the middle of it. Get rid of it. Don't believe it. Alberto Rivera is a 100% straw man. It's all bullshit if it's got anything to do with Alberto Rivera. And just so you guys know who I'm talking about, and all you have to do is type in the Jesuits started Catholicism. Let me just do that and just show you. If you type in the Jesuits or Catholicism, Catholics started Islam. You type in Catholics started Islam, and you're going to get all of these things that start talking about Alberto Rivera. And we're just going to go to it. And I want to show you who Alberto Rivera is, so you know that it's not real. I'm trying not to cuss. You know that it's not true. You know that it is 100% garbage. Are you ready? Here we go. This is Alberto Rivera, ladies and gentlemen. Supposedly, Alberto Magno Rivera was an anti-Catholic religious activist who was a source of many conspiracy theories. Only problem is the guy didn't really exist. And if he did really exist, he never did any of the stuff that he said he did. He was a plant. He was an agent provocateur. And you go on YouTube and look for YouTube videos that say the Catholics started Islam or things like that. And every single one of those videos, except for this one, is going to bring you back to Alberto Rivera, ex-Jesuit priest, telling the truth, spilling the beans, except he's not real. He's a lie. He's a shill. He's a straw man. He was invented to get you trapped into believing something that isn't true. And it's been so completely, totally successful that if you know anything about a supposed connection between Islam and the Jesuits, you think that this guy who never did what he said he did, never was who he said he was, and I'm convinced never even existed. Do you think he's the one that brought you the truth? He didn't bring you any truth whatsoever. And I'm going to prove to you why he didn't bring you any truth whatsoever. And I'm going to prove to you that he himself is a Jesuit psyop, ladies and gentlemen. Rivera did not exist and did not have do any of the stuff they said he did. It's a psyop, and a damn good one. Here's how the psyop works. They sell you on this Alberto Rivera as a Catholic Jesuit whistleblower. He comes out, tells you all the bad things that the Jesuits did, including starting Islam, tells you how bad they all were, makes up lies, says a bunch of crap, but he establishes himself as a Jesuit whistleblower. They sell you Rivera as a Jesuit priest, whistleblower, and this gives them their bona fides as an anti-Jesuit information source. And we're going to talk about the people who did this. Think of that. They find this Jesuit ex-Jesuit priest who tells all the dirt on the Jesuits, which makes this information source a legitimate anti-Jesuit source, quote unquote. I'm going to show you who this source is. And this is the source where every bit, 100% of the Alberto Rivera bullcrap came from. 100% of the Alberto Rivera bullcrap came from this one place right here. It's called Chick Tracts. And this guy, Jack Chick, made these little tracts. They're just little bitty booklets like this, and they're cartoonish, and they tell all these stories about stuff. And I want to show you. Let's just look at some of the stories they tell you. And remember, I told you that Rivera is a shill. He's not real. Let's look at the Chick cartoon tracts. Come on up. Perfect. They show us some books. Okay. These are the Chick tracts. And can we find the ones about Alberto? Where are they? I can't believe they don't have the ones about Alberto on here. Let's find some. How do we find some? Let's find Alberto. Huh. Very limited. Most popular titles, alphabet A to Z. Let's see if we got Alberto in here. No results. You guys are making me look bad. But anyway, these are the tracks that they have. Come on, English. And let's just look at these things. Adopted, all God's creatures, almost time, and it was good. Our Roman Catholics, Christians, the attack, the awful truth, the assignment. Oh, here, these are A's. Back from the dead, Dad, Bob. Anyway, this didn't work out the way I thought it would. I thought it'd be easy to find the Alberto tracks, but it's not that easy. Let me look one more place. I do want you to see them, know that I'm not crazy. Alberto tracks. And let's look for some images. Here we go. Here we go. We will get there this way. Sometimes you just got to go some different ways. Alberto series comic pack. Maybe that'll do it. What do you think? Maybe that'll do it. This is just one. This is just the comic book. And I read all these comic books back in the day, man. I'm telling you. I read all these comic books. Oh, here we go. Here's just a little bit right here. This will show you what I'm talking about as far as Alberto being set up as a false source. So here's Alberto, double cross, the Godfathers, the Force, the Four Horsemen. Oh, here's one about what we're talking about, the prophet, the Jesuits. This is the way that they sell you that he's a source. The prophet. Learn how the papacy helped start Islam, only to have its new daughter rebel against her. By who? By Alberto Rivera. Now, the only problem is, and obviously it's not as easy to look up these Catholic or these Chick tracts as I thought. They sell you Alberto as a as an authority and make themselves an authority as an anti-Jesuit organization, then they proceed to indoctrinate you with thoroughly Jesuit doctrine. All of that, most of their tracts, their most popular tracts, are all about missing the rapture. They're all about the tribulation period. They're all about Armageddon. They're all about heads chopping. They're all about Mark of the Beast. They're all about the tribulation period. They're all about Armageddon. That's what their tracts are all about. And I have proven to you beyond a shadow of a doubt that all of those doctrines, the rapture, the third temple, the red heifer, the second coming of Jesus, the battle of Armageddon, the mark of the beast, the trumpets, the vials, all of that stuff was invented in the 16th century by the Jesuits. 100%. So do you see the psyop, ladies and gentlemen? Do you understand the psyop? They use Alberto, they create him to make themselves an anti-Jesuit, quote-unquote, authority, and then they use that authority of, oh, these guys hate the Jesuits. They would never teach us Jesuit doctrine, to teach you, to indoctrinate you, to enslave you into Jesuit doctrine through the Christian eschatology, fear and guilt control matrix. And not only that, they expose you as idiots, or anybody that actually looks and does some study and realizes that this Alberto Rivera guy never existed. So not only do they trap you into fear and guilt and control, not only do they enslave you with Jesuit doctrine that you willingly accept, they remove you as any source of true authority and knowledge to anybody that actually does a little reading. It's a most effective, a most powerful psyop, and you've all fallen for it. I haven't even looked at the chat room because it's probably blowing up with people against me. There is no middle ground on this. Alberto Rivera is a shill, a fake, a lie, and you've bought him, some of you. You think he's real, and that you think that justifies the other teachings that come out of Chick tracts about eschatology, and every single word of it is Jesuit teaching. I've shown you on this channel that it's all Jesuit teaching. They invented it, ladies and gentlemen. And I've shown you over and over and over and over. If you have any desire, you can search up end times, rapture, tribulation on this channel, and you will see there's at least 10 videos about it. So that's the bullshit you got to forget. Now let's move into the real stuff about the Jesuits and Islam. I don't know if they started it, but they started and created this modern militant Islam, and it was done by none other than Ignatius of Loyola himself, the founder of the Jesuit movement. Let me show you where I'm getting this information from. I think it's very, very important that you know where it comes from. And it comes from this website, in part, thinkingfaith.org, which is the official website of the Jesuits in Britain. It's called Thinking Faith. It's got the Jesuit seal here, the Jesuit symbol. And here's the article, one of the articles. There's many of them. Ignatius of Loyola, apostle to the Muslims. Wow, this isn't fake. This isn't a straw man. This isn't some guy that never existed and never did what he said he did. This isn't some idiot trying to shove Jesuit doctrine down your throat by being anti-Jesuit. It's not a psyop. Well, it is a psyop because it's the Jesuits, but it's an upfront, open teaching of Jesuit doctrine. And that's where this is coming from. And this is what we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just take a peek in the chat room and make sure everything is okay there. Tom Hanks is a Jesuit. I know we're talking pin the tail on the Jesuit now, but let me say, just because you went to a Jesuit college doesn't make you a Jesuit. There's a lot of Jesuit colleges, ladies and gentlemen. And it doesn't mean that everybody goes to them as a Jesuit, okay? Let's just get that out of the way. But let's look now at, ladies and gentlemen, the truth, the reality of the Jesuit Muslim connection and how Jesuitism is responsible for the formation of modern extreme Islam. Are you ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? Maybe the most important podcast that I've ever done, especially when we talk about the way things are going in this world today and the things that we are fighting. So this, I'm going to pull pieces out of that article, the articles that I've read, and we're going to go ahead and share this. What this is talking about is saying that most people believed that this is a discussion of what was the motivation of Ignatius of Loyola to start the Jesuits. And this is what most people have been told. This is what most people have been sold. Did Ignatius of Loyola start the Jesuits to educate the youth of Europe? A lot of you think that. Did he start the Jesuits to fight the spread of Protestantism? A lot of you think that. Many people would guess that one or both of these ambitions drove Ignatius of Loyola to found the Jesuits. But the Jesuits say that he actually had something else in mind. He actually had something else in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Ignatius of Loyola did not found the Jesuits to educate the youth. He did not found the Jesuits to fight the spread of Protestantism. Those were just ancillary works. Why did he found the Jesuits? To create a mission to the Muslim world. Islam haunted Ignatius's understanding of his calling. And he celebrates the fruitful work that Jesuits have had with Muslims. Ladies and gentlemen, you've never heard that anywhere before. The Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, were formed because of a calling by their leader for a mission to the Muslim world. This is Jesuit doctrine from Jesuits themselves. It's the text, and the text does not care what you think, ladies and gentlemen. And wait, there's more straight from the Jesuits' mouth. Whoops. Got to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. I'm having to do this backwards for reasons that you don't need to know, because I'm not that skilled. That's the bottom line. So, the following claim may be unexpected in relation to why the Jesuits were formed. Ignatius' original apostolic orientation was defined in relation to the Muslim world. Yes, it was the Counter-Reformation movement. Yes, it was building education systems, but the main reason that the Jesuits were created was for a mission relating to the Muslim world. These are not my opinions. These are not my thoughts. These are words directly from, ladies and gentlemen, directly from the mouths of the Jesuits. This is the kind of teaching we need when we're trying to understand, not people that publish freaking comic books. Check this out. Here's a little story about what Ignatius did as he was riding along, and a Muslim, was riding on a mule who caught up with him, which is kind of ridiculous because how does somebody riding a mule catch up to somebody riding a horse? But anyway, it's all a lie anyway. It's a setup. As he continued on his way, a Moor riding a mule caught up with him, and they began a conversation about the Virgin Mary. The Muslim said that it seemed to him that the Virgin Mary had conceived without the aid of man. See, we're even trying to continue to further blatant falsehood within Roman Catholic and Roman Christian doctrine, but he couldn't believe that she had remained a virgin. And he began to give all the reasons why he didn't think that she had remained a virgin. And Ignatius was given all the reasons why he thought that she was a virgin. How do you have a kid? Yeah, well, anyway. So then the Moor left, and rode off again on a mule, ran away from Ignatius, who was on a horse. But anyway, and then Ignatius, listen to this. This is where it gets good. This is how it tells you what's going on. This is a parable that tells you exactly what his mission was to the Muslims and what he was there to do. So then emotions welled up in him. He thought he'd failed. He was filled with anger against the Muslims for allowing them to utter such things about Mary. He concluded he was obliged to restore her honor. He wanted to search out the Muslim, strike him with his dagger for all that he had said. And listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. This conflict and his desires remained with him for some time. In fact, they remain with him continually because they are the real motivation of what he was doing with the Muslims. More from the Muslim or from the Jesuit mouth right here, ladies and gentlemen. Ignatius' itinerary leaves us with bewildering questions. Islam, read this. This is Islam. This is Jesuit writing. Islam has lodged itself as a constituent part of the Jesuits' DNA. I didn't say it. The Jesuits did. Islam is part of the Jesuits' DNA. For Ignatius' sons have demonstrated consistent and persistent interest in the Muslim world. The Muslims are in the Jesuits' DNA, and the Jesuits are in the Muslims' DNA, at least modern radical Islam's DNA, and I'm about to prove it to you. We're building a cake one crumb at a time. If I'm boring you, go ahead and go watch a singing contest. Go see who gets voted off the island. Go look at Kim Kardashian's ass. This is life-changing information that we're sharing here. And if you're bored, then just leave. I'm sorry to be so. No, I'm not. That's just the way it is. We got to say like it is. We got to say what we mean. We got to mean what we say. And this is important stuff, ladies and gentlemen. This is powerful stuff. And we are here to try to get some stuff done. This answers everything. Epstein, the Fed, all of it is being answered right here, ladies and gentlemen. You want to know who they are? We're always talking about they are doing this and they are doing that and they are controlling. We're showing you who they are. We're showing you who they are. And they're admitting it because of natural law. They've got to admit it. They've got to tell us this. The Jesuits were in Istanbul in 1582. By 1650, they were in Izmir, which is Turkey, Aleppo. Remember Aleppo? If you don't, Google it. Damascus. Remember Damascus? Lebanon. Wow. They were in the court of the Emperor Akbar in the late 16th century. Ignatius's or Xavier's own great nephew was involved in a bold engagement with Persian-speaking Islam. Guess who that is? Iran. Not only are the Jesuits into Islam, they're into both Sunni and Shia Islam. This is why you have the Christian Whistleblower, to identify these things for you. Both Sunni and Shia have been infected by the Jesuits. Ladies and gentlemen, meeting the Muslims in their own countries changes the way Jesuits think about theology. It doesn't bear fruit quickly, but they deal with Islam often in surprisingly sympathetic manners, sympathetic to the Shia extremist Islam terrorists, sympathetic to the Sunni Islam terrorists. Ladies and gentlemen, it just gets more and more interesting. You're not going to believe these next things from the mouth of the Jesuits, not from a freaking comic book. from the mouth of the Jesuits themselves. We are busting open the fear and guilt control matrix right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is real world, behind the curtain, big time shit. A moment of great significance in the evolution of the Jesuit mission to Muslims occurred in 1937. Anybody remember what was going on in the world in 1937? Does anyone remember what was going on in the world in 1937? Anyone remember? Anyone remember? Let you think about this a little bit. What was going on in the world in 1937? Oh, we were gearing up for a little thing called World War II. And it just happens that the Jesuits were buddying up with the Muslims 2 years before World War II, talking about converting the Muslim world, and they did convert the Muslim world. And I'll show you what they converted it to. And they thought, this is even the Muslims speculating, they were actually trying to bolster some anti-Semitic sentiment. Ooh, the idea of Jesuits explicitly setting out to convert Muslims in Muslim majority lands represents a fundamental break with previous practice. Folks, you got to read between the lines. What were they trying to do? They were trying to get the Muslims to be militant against the Jews. They were trying to get the Muslims to be militant against the Christians. They were trying to get the Muslims to be militant against Judeo-Christian West as World War II was about to begin. The Muslims, ladies and gentlemen, have a long plan. It's a long con. The Jesuits, not the Muslims, the Jesuits have a long con. The fact of the matter is that the Muslims were shanghaied by the Jesuits just like we were shanghaied by the Jesuits. And before World War II, the Jesuits specifically went about a program of stirring Muslims up against Jews, of stirring Muslims up against Christians, creating hatred, creating warfare, creating a battle scenario. Remember what the Jesuits were, ladies and gentlemen. The Jesuits were the military arm of the Roman Catholic Church. But more than that, the Jesuits were and are the military intelligence arm of the Roman Catholic Church. The Jesuits are the Roman Catholics, CIA, NSA, Mossad, and that's the only names of those organizations that I know. That's what the Jesuits are. Admittedly, they call themselves the Pope's Marines. They call themselves the Pope's warriors from day one. And they have just told us, the Jesuits themselves, that the Jesuits were started, ladies and gentlemen, with the Muslims in mind. And I'm about to show you the end of the end game. And they were started with the Muslims in mind to create within Islam a radical jihadi force that will fight against the West. Because what do you want if you're trying to take over the whole world? You want divide and conquer. You want us and them. You want black and white. Those dark people that speak a different language are trying to kill all us white people and take our pretty girls. It's classic. And oh, by the way, they convinced you that all of the Jesuit doctrine that you're swallowing isn't Jesuit doctrine, and you got to go fight against these Muslims. Not only were they training the Muslims to hate Christians, they were training the Christians to hate Muslims. All of this goes back to the feet of the Jesuits, not who you thought it was. Not who you thought it was. The Jesuits have always been an intelligence army. The Jesuits have always been an army, and they were started to militarize the Muslims against the Christians, against the Jews, against the West. And they're still involved in it. And if you don't believe me, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, with the final piece of the puzzle, the final bit of revelation in this most amazing podcast, showing you the reality of reality. Finally, with particular gratitude, this Jesuit wants to thank another Jesuit, an unabashed admirer of Islam, because he went and actually helped in this Islam country. I'm just going to read this whole paragraph because it's beyond belief. Finally, and with particular gratitude, I want to mention a remarkable Italian Jesuit. Finally, the end game. Paolo dal Oglio, an unabashed admirer of Islam, he took the highly unusual step for a Jesuit of founding a monastery, Deir Mar Musa, in Syria, as a place to live out a radical vision of hospitality at the service of Christian-Muslim encounter in the Middle East. Paulo was profoundly involved. Listen up. Paulo was profoundly involved in the life of that latterly tormented country, to the point that during the outbreak of its civil war, he tried to negotiate with a little-known group of Islamic extremists called ISIL. Do you think it was a coincidence that the SS, CIA, NSA, Mossad, Jesuits just happened to have a monastery and just happened to have great influence with the people that created ISIL, ISIS, Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad? Ladies and freaking gentlemen, black and white telling you it was the damn Jesuits that took advantage of PSYOP, mind, whatted the Muslims, and they were front and center in the creation of ISIL, ISIS, Hezbollah, PLO, ISIS, all of them. And just as a little chilling warning, today, there's 30 or 40 Jesuits. If they tell you there's 30 or 40, that means there's 60 or 80 at least around the world with advanced training of one sort or another in Islamics, one sort or another. Let's see, blowing shit up is one sort of advanced training they might have. Killing bitches might be another sort of advanced training they have. Suicide bombing might be another bit of advanced training. Stirring people up that have rocks and clubs to try to fight against people that got F-16s and atom bombs. Maybe that's another part of their advanced training. And they're around right now, still in the Islamic world. Ignatius would be pleased, because now, 500 years later, he's better equipped to accomplish a task that moved and inspired him. Where's the journey taking us? Who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, you don't get this anywhere else. You can't find this anywhere else. No one else is going to tell you this, because no one else has been doing this for 38 plus years. No one else was working for the man who was working for the man for 20 years. Bible college graduate, 100,000 hours in this, deep in the dung. That's why I'm here. That's why you're here. Everybody wants to blame the Jews. It's not the Jews. It's the Jesuits. And we can get into the Jewish-Jesuit connection on another podcast. I knew that Sam Tripoli was on the spot when he said to me, I don't know if we were live on the podcast or we were talking before the podcast, the Tinfoil Hat podcast I did with Sam. He said, it's not the Jews, it's the Jesuits. I'm like, I love you, man. You complete me. As soon as he said that, because nobody gets it, because you're falling for the lies, you're falling for the hype, and you're falling for the psyop that they're trying to bring you on. And we're going to talk about the Jews. It's not the Jews. It's not the Muslims. It's not the Christians. It's the SS, NSA, CIA, Mossad, Jesuits. And they admit it, ladies and gentlemen. They admit it. Looks like a formation of jets right there. Interesting, but all right, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. What makes more sense? What the Jesuits say from their own mouths, or the stupid bullshit spewed by a comic book writer that y'all have been stupid enough to believe for all these years? Shame on you. Shame on me. I used to read them. Shame on us. We're better than that. Let's get to a place where we understand what's going on. All right, here we go. Let's read some questions from the chat room. Let's see if there's any good questions and see if there's any good slams either, because there's probably a bunch of them. That's okay. Read about Ignatius of Loyola, 600 years. How the hell do I tell my Catholic Jesuit boyfriend, BFF, this? Well, hopefully your Catholic Jesuit BFF doesn't know about it, and just have him watch the show. I have more respect for you. Thank you, Norseman. I appreciate that. And Bob Anderson, you're falling for the bullshit, bro. Think outside the box. Where did it go to? Where did it come from? That Tinfoil podcast was really good. It was really good. And then you got idiots in here that just they want to go along with the programming. They can't see past the end of their own nose. That's okay. That's all right. Brainwashing people, absolutely amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that. The P and PLO is for propaganda. Absolutely. People need to wake up and quit filling collection plates. Yes, they do. Demiurge puppets. I am Monica says, light up those dark corners. Thank you. Freeman King says Hitler needed Islam to fight off the Zionists all-out assault on Germany. We're going to take that off just because we don't want that Z word around here, because we can get taken out by that. And, you can say what you want to say, but we'll remove it just in case. Obama's ISIL. Yep, same one. Same one. How about that? Watch your back. I got lots of people watching my 6, and I'm not worried. I'm 10 feet tall and bulletproof. Thank you, Tyler Day. I appreciate it. What Pope was in charge then? Don't know. A lot of great information in here, and you just have to understand who it was and who started it and where it comes from, ladies and gentlemen. Jennifer Roberts says that big Jesuits have come out saying that they deliberately use war, and then they can run back calling us haters if we discuss it. Yep. Absolutely. Armageddon-ish. It's the Armageddon comes from the Jesuits, ladies and gentlemen. They created it. Source frequency is correct. The Jesuits created jihad within Islam. The Jesuits created jihad within Islam. They are playing all sides. Absolutely. They are playing all sides. Let's see. As we go through, a lot of talk about the Germans. And ladies and gentlemen, it just is what it is. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you listening. And I even appreciate the trolls, because I know that if I got trolls, I'm doing something right. And it's always nice to press that button that says hide on this channel, knowing that I never have to see you again. It's a lot of fun, and I do appreciate it, though. I really do. And I especially appreciate Street King and Tom Donnelly. I have a email, Gotham, like in Batman, ltd@gmail.com. Feel free to send me an email there if you have a question, and I will do my best to answer it. I get a ton of it, but I'll do my best. No, you can't get a quick recap. You can watch the show again, and if you don't have time to do it, then you really don't care that much, do you? We're out of time in this world. Quit asking people to do things for you. Carry your own water, haul your own wood, ladies and gentlemen. All right, folks, that's it. That is it. This is some amazing stuff. This is some powerful stuff. I know a lot of you aren't going to like it, but it is the way it is. And we have uncovered the root cause of all this stuff, and we've allowed ourselves to understand and know what's going on. Now at least we know who the players are, and now we can get about the playing the game and playing the game to win, because winners write history. And I believe that we're the last generation of real humans, and we can win, and we will write the history of how a people that found out they were divine, sovereign, and free went up against the fear and guilt control matrix and destroyed it. Let's win today and build a better tomorrow. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, and I believe that together we can and will do it. Who's with me?